Have you ever felt like no one really values you? You give love, time, care, but people don't give the same energy back. You try to understand them. You forgive easily. You stay loyal, but they don't even notice it. Or worse, they leave. It hurts, doesn't it? That's because most people don't understand one simple truth. Kindness without strength becomes weakness in relationships. In this video, you'll learn 5 dark psychology tricks used by emotionally smart people to gain control in any relationship, not to hurt anyone, but to protect your heart, get respect, and become powerful in love, friendships, family, or business. Let's begin. Trick number 1. Create emotional dependence through subtle attention and withdrawal from the series Master of Relationship, 5 Dark Psychological Tricks. Before we begin, remember this. Everything you hear is for understanding and awareness. This knowledge should always be used for positive results, never to hurt, never to control in a harmful way. True mastery of relationships means knowing how emotions work, not abusing them. Now let's begin. Have you ever noticed how someone becomes more attached to a person who gives them attention, but then pulls away? Not in an obvious way, not in a cruel way, just enough to make the other person feel slightly off balance, slightly unsure. This is one of the oldest yet most powerful tricks in dark psychology. It's called subtle attention and withdrawal. And when done right, it doesn't feel like manipulation. It feels like mystery, like magnetism. And that's why it works. Goal here is simple. Create emotional dependence by making the other person crave your attention. Give, then pull back. Softly, gently, never harsh. That's what creates the invisible string between you and them. A string that pulls their heart closer, even when they can't explain why. Let's break this down. At the beginning of any connection, whether romantic or emotional, attention is the fuel. Everyone loves feeling seen, heard, noticed. When you give someone that attention in a calm, sincere way, it triggers their emotional center. It makes them feel safe, wanted. But here's the trick. Don't stay there too long. Once they begin to feel comfortable in your energy, you gradually and silently shift your focus away. You become less available. You don't explain it. You don't announce it. You simply let them notice the difference. The absence and that space, that tiny emptiness begins to grow in their mind. They wonder, did I do something wrong? Why are they quieter today? Have I lost their interest? And in that wondering, a psychological loop begins. They start thinking about you more, wanting you more, craving your attention, not because of what you gave them, but because of what you took away. Here's a simple example. Emma and Jack met through a mutual friend. In the first few weeks, Jack made her feel like the only woman in the world. His texts were thoughtful, his presence was warm. Then, without warning, he didn't reply for a day. The next time they spoke, he was kind, but distant. No explanation. Emma felt confused, not hurt, just unsure. And that confusion, it pulled her in deeper. She started wondering about him constantly. She checked her phone more often. His silence echoed louder than his words. That's the emotional hook. Now, the important part. You must balance this push and pull. Too much withdrawal, and you'll create rejection. Too much attention, and you'll lose the power of mystery. You need to create a rhythm, like waves. A few days of warmth, then a day of calm, a deep conversation, then a moment of space, a morning message, then silence in the evening. It's not about games, it's about emotional pacing. This rhythm makes the other person feel emotionally invested, even addicted. Not in a toxic way, but in a deeply human way. Because what we chase, we value, and what we fear losing, we hold on tighter. But remember, this must never be used to damage someone's confidence. The purpose of this trick is not to make someone feel unworthy. It's to awaken their desire, to light up that part of their mind that says, I don't want to lose this connection. I want more of this energy. There's also a deeper layer. When you withdraw slightly, it gives the other person time to think, to miss you, to reflect on how they feel around you. And if your presence made them feel good, your absence will only highlight that feeling. That contrast becomes your power. Let's make this clearer with a few emotional techniques you can combine with this trick. 1. Leave conversations slightly early. Don't wait until things feel boring. Leave while the energy is still high. That creates a psychological echo in their mind, a craving for continuation. 2. Don't always be the one to reach out. Let silence build naturally. When they reach out, your value rises, and they don't even realize why. 3. Be unpredictable but kind. Your energy should always feel safe but never predictable. That's the sweet spot. 4. Give deep compliments, then go silent. Say something thoughtful, something that shows you see the real them. Then don't speak for a while. That compliment will replay in their mind like music. Now here's a deeper truth. Emotional withdrawal taps into a part of the brain connected to memory and survival. When someone gives us something we value, then takes it away, our emotional brain treats it as loss. And loss, even a small one, triggers a reaction. It makes us act. It makes us chase. It makes us feel. That's why subtle withdrawal can be more powerful than presence. It's not about being cruel. It's about understanding how attraction works at the deepest level. Desire isn't born in what we have. It's born in what we fear we might lose. Now think back to your own life. Has there ever been someone you thought about more when they became distant? Someone whose silence felt louder than others' attention? That was emotional dependence, quietly forming in your mind. And now, you understand how to create it. But again, use this with care. Use it with awareness, and always for positive results. Because true relationship mastery isn't about control. It's about knowing how the heart works and respecting the power that comes with that knowledge. In the next trick, we'll build on this foundation and explore how controlled confusion can make someone feel even more attached, not by hurting them, but by stirring their emotions just enough to draw them closer. Remember, power in relationships doesn't come from loud actions. It comes from quiet understanding. And now, you're learning how to master that understanding, one trick at a time. Trick number 2. Use controlled confusion to deepen emotional bonding. From the series, Master of Relationship. 5. Dark psychological tricks. Before we begin, always remember, these insights are to be used for positive results. We're here to understand human emotion, not to hurt or manipulate in harmful ways. Use this knowledge wisely, and you'll start to feel just how powerful emotional intelligence can be. Now, let's build on what we learned in trick number 1. In the first trick, you created emotional dependence through attention and subtle withdrawal. You made someone feel seen, then gently gave them space, which made them think about you more deeply. Now we move to the next level. This trick is about controlled confusion, using uncertainty to create intensity. Let me explain. The human brain loves patterns. We feel safe when we understand what's going on. We like to know what comes next. But here's the interesting part. When something disrupts that pattern, even slightly, our brain becomes alert, focused, curious. And curiosity is powerful in relationships. When you introduce small, unpredictable elements into your communication or your behavior, you create just enough emotional tension to make the other person focus on you. Not out of fear, but out of interest, out of emotional investment. Let's take an example. Daniel and Olivia had been dating for a few weeks. Olivia was kind, thoughtful, and very present. But sometimes, right in the middle of a deep moment, she'd suddenly shift the topic to something playful or unrelated. Sometimes she'd send Daniel a warm message and then go quiet for a while. When they met, she was affectionate, but not always predictable. Daniel found himself thinking about her more, not because she was perfect, but because she kept him emotionally awake. He couldn't quite figure her out, and that made him want her more. This is the art of controlled confusion. It's not about playing games. It's about removing predictability. Just a little, so that emotional attention stays sharp. Here are a few ways you can use this gently. 1. Break rhythm softly. If you usually text every morning, skip one, then send a message in the afternoon instead. Something thoughtful, but unexpected. That soft shift creates mental alertness. 2. Change tone unexpectedly, but kindly. In one conversation, be very warm. In the next, be calm and reserved, not cold, just less expressive. Let them feel the contrast. 3. Say something vulnerable, then move on. For example, I had a rough night, but let's not talk about it. How was your day? This creates a silent emotional pull. They feel something deeper is happening, but they're not sure what. 4. Compliment, then tease. You looked amazing last night. but I still don't forgive you for stealing my chips. This emotional mixing keeps the mind alert, the heart curious. Now let's go a little deeper. Why does this work so well in relationships? Because controlled confusion triggers something psychologists call the zygonic effect. The mind's tendency to remember unfinished or interrupted experiences more than completed ones. When we don't fully understand something, we think about it more. We replay it. We fill in the blanks. And in relationships, this means the other person begins to focus on you more, not by choice, but by emotional pull. Here's something important though. The confusion must never be painful or mean. It should feel like a mystery, not a threat. You want the other person to think, what did they mean by that? I wonder what's going on with them today. That felt different, but I liked it. This emotional uncertainty builds deeper emotional anchoring because it forces the mind to engage. When someone always knows what to expect, their emotional investment lowers. But when there's gentle unpredictability, their attention stays alive. Let's look at a few subtle examples you can try. If you're meeting someone in person, be fully present, but end the meeting slightly earlier than they expected. Leave them wanting more. If you're on a call, say something personal, then laugh it off and change the topic. The emotion lingers even when the conversation moves on. Ask a deep question, then don't answer when they ask it back. Smile instead. Let your silence say more than your words. These are micro moves, tiny shifts, but they have huge impact when used with emotional awareness, because here's what controlled confusion really does. It keeps you emotionally unforgettable. Think about it. We remember people who surprise us, people who make us feel something we can't quite define, people who create emotional variety, warmth, silence, attention, space. When done right, you don't just become liked, you become desired, because desire lives in tension, in the unknown, not in drama, but in emotional complexity. Now let's bring this back to trick number 1. You gave attention, you created space. Now with trick number 2, you're adding emotional texture, unpredictability, and the combination is powerful. Imagine a person who gives warmth, then space, then adds a layer of emotional surprise. They become irresistible, not because they're perfect, but because they awaken parts of the heart that routine never can. But again, this must be used with care. Too much confusion can cause insecurity, so always follow confusion with comfort, push, then pull back in with kindness. Let the other person feel safe, but not certain. That's the edge where emotional attraction becomes emotional connection. One last thing. The best relationships are not built on constant happiness. They're built on emotional depth, moments of surprise, moments of quiet, moments of wondering, and moments of understanding. With this trick, you're not manipulating. You're orchestrating emotional experience like a melody with highs and lows, rhythm and silence. That's what makes a person unforgettable. In the next trick, we'll go even deeper. We'll explore how to mirror someone's emotional patterns to build instant trust and intimacy without saying much at all. So far, you've learned how to create dependence, then how to create emotional curiosity. You're already ahead of most people because you're not just learning how to talk, you're learning how to touch the heart silently. This is how you master a relationship, one understanding at a time. Trick number 3. Mirror their emotional patterns to build deep trust, from the series Master of Relationship, 5 Dark Psychological Tricks. Before we begin, remember this. Use what you're learning only for positive results. The purpose of this understanding is not to manipulate others in harmful ways. It's about creating deeper emotional connections and building healthier, stronger relationships. You've already seen the power of attention and space in trick number 1. And in trick number 2, you discovered how controlled confusion makes you emotionally unforgettable. Now we move to something even more powerful, something quiet, yet deeply effective. This is emotional mirroring, not just copying someone's body language or tone. No, we're going deeper than that. This is about mirroring their emotional rhythm, how they react when they open up, how fast or slow they process emotions, and what emotional language they speak without even knowing it. When you understand and reflect this emotional pattern gently back to them, something remarkable happens. They start to feel seen, not just heard. but truly understood. And that creates one of the strongest human bonds, emotional trust. Let me explain. Every person has a kind of emotional music. Some people are calm and measured. Others are expressive, warm, and intense. Some respond quickly. Others need time. When you move in harmony with their rhythm without forcing your own pace on them, they start to feel emotionally safe around you. This isn't about pretending, it's about becoming emotionally fluent in their language. Let's look at a short example. Emma and Jack had been seeing each other casually. Jack was a thinker. He took time before speaking. He didn't rush into conversations. Emma at first tried to fill the silence. She spoke fast, wanted quick answers, wanted to figure things out, but then she changed. She started slowing her pace. When Jack went silent, she didn't interrupt. She paused more. When Jack finally opened up, she didn't rush to respond. She mirrored his calm tone and gentle phrasing. Slowly, Jack began to trust her. He felt emotionally safe, not because Emma was just being kind, but because she felt like home to his emotional rhythm. That's the magic of emotional mirroring. Now, how can you use this yourself? Here are a few powerful ways. 1. Notice their emotional speed. Are they fast or slow to open up? Do they jump into stories or do they test the waters first? Match their timing. If they're slow, be slow. If they're animated, meet that energy. Not too much, just enough to make them feel you're in sync. 2. Listen to their words, but feel their tone. What emotion sits behind their voice? Is it fear, hesitation, excitement, doubt? Respond to that, not just the surface words. Say things like, I can feel this means a lot to you, or you sound unsure, and that's okay. That reflection hits deeper than logic ever will. 3. Mirror emotional themes. If someone talks a lot about safety, use that word in your responses. If they talk about growth or freedom, speak to those ideas. Reflect their emotional values in your language. 4. Time your reactions to match theirs. If they're slow to respond, give space. If they laugh quickly, laugh with them. Match not just their words, but their emotional dance. Here's what happens when you do this right. They feel seen without judgment. They feel emotionally accepted as they are. They start to relax around you because you don't force them to be someone else. And this creates a deep emotional hook, not through drama, not through intensity, but through emotional reflection. This is especially powerful in romantic relationships where people often feel misunderstood. Most arguments happen not because people disagree, but because they feel the other person doesn't understand their emotions. But when you mirror someone's emotions, you don't need to say much. They just feel it. They feel like, you get me. You're not rushing me. You're moving with me. Let me give you another small moment to think about. Imagine Olivia is upset, not angry, but quietly hurt. Most people would try to fix the problem. What happened? What did I do? But emotional mirroring means this. You notice her silence. You say calmly and gently, I don't want to push you to talk, but I can feel something's bothering you. I'm here when you're ready. Then you stay silent, calm, matching her pace. That silence is more powerful than 100 solutions, because in that moment, you're not fixing, you're feeling with her, and that's where trust lives. Let's connect this to the earlier tricks. In trick number 1, you created emotional dependence through space and presence. In trick number 2, you added depth through controlled confusion. Now, in trick number 3, you're building trust by tuning into their emotional signal and playing it back gently. These 3 together are a foundation. They pull the heart closer, then hold it safely. But here's something important. Don't force it. Emotional mirroring only works when it's real. If you don't truly feel what they're feeling, take time to observe. Don't act. Learn. Listen. Over time, your emotional awareness will sharpen. And once you start to mirror naturally, people will feel deeply connected to you, often without knowing why. They'll feel like you're someone who just gets it. And that feeling, it's rare, it's unforgettable. In the next trick, we'll go one step further. You'll learn how to use silent validation, a powerful method that makes someone feel deeply appreciated without even using many words. So far, you've learned to give space, to surprise the heart, to move in emotional rhythm. Next, you'll learn to make someone feel emotionally valued, in a way most people never do. That's the next step toward mastering relationships, because you're not just becoming emotionally aware, you're becoming emotionally unforgettable. Trick number 4, silent validation. Make them feel deeply valued without words. From the series Master of Relationship 5, Dark Psychological Tricks. Before we begin, remember this. Use this understanding of psychology only for positive results. It's not meant to hurt, control, or manipulate. It's meant to help you build strong emotional connections that last. In the last trick, we learned how to mirror someone's emotional rhythm, to move with them, not against them. You discovered how powerful it is when someone feels seen and emotionally safe. Now we go one layer deeper. This time, it's not about what you say, it's about what you don't say, and how much it still means. This trick is called silent validation. It's the art of making someone feel deeply respected, accepted, and valued without needing to speak too much. Why does this work? Because most people are starving for emotional recognition. They want to feel that who they are, even at their quietest, even at their most vulnerable, still matters to someone. And when you can offer that, not through flattery, not through performance, but through silence and presence, that's when people attach to you emotionally in ways they can't even explain. Let's unpack this. Silent validation happens when you recognize someone's emotional state, and instead of trying to fix it, explain it, or even talk about it, you simply acknowledge it with your presence, with a look, with timing, with stillness. It's when your eyes say, "I see you." Your posture says, "You're safe." Your energy says, "You don't have to earn my attention." Let me give you a small, real moment. Daniel and Olivia have been together for a few months. One day, Olivia is unusually quiet. She's not angry, she's just tired, emotionally heavy. Daniel doesn't ask 10 questions. He doesn't try to cheer her up. Instead, he sits next to her on the sofa, quietly. He places a cup of tea beside her. He doesn't speak. After a few minutes, he gently places his hand on hers. That's all. No big gestures, no need for solutions, just silent presence, calm. That one moment, that one unspoken validation makes Olivia feel safer with him than hours of talking ever could. Because here's the truth, validation isn't always verbal. In fact, the deepest kind is often nonverbal. When you listen without interruption, when you notice without needing answers, when you accept someone's silence without trying to fill it, that's when your connection deepens. Here are a few ways you can use silent validation. 1. Notice emotion without reacting too fast. If someone is quiet, don't rush to fill the silence. Just be there. Sometimes the strongest comfort is your calm presence. 2. Use your eyes and body to signal safety. You don't have to say, "I care." Just soften your gaze. Relax your posture. Be still. People feel this more than they hear it. 3. Match their energy, not your own. If someone's low, don't bring high energy. It feels like pressure. Stay in their emotional zone and just walk beside them. 4. Let pauses speak. When they finally talk, wait before replying. That space between their words and yours, that's where the connection breathes. You see, in a world of noise, your silence becomes rare. And rare things feel valuable. Now you might wonder, how is this different from emotional mirroring? Good question. In trick 3, you matched emotional rhythms. You moved with their patterns. You showed understanding. But in trick 4, you don't just reflect emotions. You create a safe container for them. Think of it this way. Mirroring is about joining their emotion. Silent validation is about holding it gently without trying to change it. Let me give you another simple human moment. Jack had just come back from a long, stressful meeting. His mind was tired, his body tense. Emma didn't ask, "How was it?" She didn't demand details. She looked at him, walked over, and placed her hand lightly on his shoulder. No words, just presence. And that gesture, simple, quiet, intentional, melted his stress more than any long talk would have. This is what people crave in relationships, to feel safe, to feel like they don't have to perform, to feel like their silence is accepted, not judged. When you offer silent validation, you create emotional peace, and people get addicted to peace. Think about the emotional message this sends. You don't have to impress me. You don't have to explain yourself. You're enough, even in silence. Now let's look at how this connects with the previous tricks. In trick number 1, you use space and attention to create emotional pull. In trick 2, you added emotional intrigue through confusion. In trick 3, you matched emotional rhythm to build trust. And now, in trick 4, you're building emotional safety, the invisible glue of lasting relationships. Each one is building on the last. Each one is making your emotional presence deeper, calmer, and more powerful. Here's a powerful truth to remember. The people we trust most are often the ones who said the least, but were there the most. You're becoming that person, not just someone who talks, but someone who feels, someone who creates space for others to be real, raw, unedited. And that's rare. That's unforgettable. That's what makes you emotionally magnetic. In the final trick number 5, we'll bring it all together. You'll learn how to use intentional emotional contrast to make your presence not just comforting, but unforgettable. You'll create highs and lows, tension and peace, depth and light, in a way that makes the heart crave more of you. But for now, reflect on this. Sometimes the loudest love is the quietest one. And when you master silent validation, you become the kind of person who gives love in the way people need it most, without needing to speak at all. Trick number 5, emotional contrast. Make them feel alive with you. From the series, Master of Relationship 5, Dark Psychological Tricks. As always, use this understanding of psychology only for positive results. These tools are meant to deepen connection, not to control, manipulate, or cause harm. Now we've come to the final trick, and this one brings everything together. You've already learned how to pull someone in with presence, keep them emotionally engaged, build trust through emotional rhythm, and create deep comfort with silent validation. Now it's time to add the final layer, emotional contrast. This is the trick that makes people not just feel safe with you, but also feel alive, because it's not enough to be the calm in their storm. Sometimes you also need to be the spark in their silence. Let's explore what that means. What is emotional contrast? It's the deliberate shift between different emotional tones, calm to playful, serious to light, still to spontaneous, in a way that feels natural and deeply human. People don't remember a flat emotional experience. They remember contrast, the moments that move them, and the people who gave them both comfort and excitement. Those are the people they crave. Think about your favorite stories. They don't just make you feel one thing, they make you feel many things. Surprise, laughter, longing, peace. That's what emotional contrast does inside relationships. It paints the connection in color. Why does it work so powerfully? Because the human brain is wired to notice shifts. Change grabs attention. Emotion creates memory, and contrast makes those emotions stick. When someone feels comforted by your presence and then suddenly feels sparked by your playfulness or moved by your vulnerability, they don't just connect to you, they bond with you. It's the emotional journey that builds real attachment. Let me give you a short moment to feel this. Jack and Olivia had just finished dinner. It was a quiet evening, low lights, soft music. Olivia was talking about something that made her anxious. Jack listened, nodded, held her hand. Silence followed. Then, without warning, Jack stood up, reached for her hand and said, "Come on, dance with me." "Here?" she asked. "Right here, right now." And they laughed, danced, spun barefoot in their living room. That shift from worry to wonder made Olivia feel like she could breathe again. That contrast made Jack unforgettable. Now that's emotional intelligence, and that's emotional contrast in action. How can you use emotional contrast in your relationship? Here are a few natural ways to bring it into your connection. 1. Shift between tones intentionally. After a serious talk, tell a soft joke. After a quiet moment, make eye contact and say something bold. Use light and shade, not just one color. 2. Be unpredictable in gentle ways, not erratic, not chaotic, just surprising. A sudden kiss on the forehead, a random memory shared out loud, a new question they've never heard from you before. 3. Pair emotional safety with emotional energy. Let them know they can relax with you, and let them feel something exciting too. This balance makes your presence irreplaceable. 4. Use your voice like music. Don't speak in one tone. Slow down when it matters. Speed up when you're excited. Let your voice carry contrast. so your words carry weight. Here's the deeper truth. If you're only calm, you'll be comforting. But if you're calm and captivating, you'll be unforgettable. Most people stay in one emotional gear, but when you can shift with purpose, with kindness, with awareness, you become emotionally magnetic. Let's connect it all together. You began with trick number 1, learning to pull attention gently by creating space and mystery. You moved into trick 2, using controlled confusion to keep emotional tension alive. Trick 3 taught you how to mirror and match emotional rhythm, deepening trust. Trick 4 brought in silent validation, being there without needing to fix. And now in trick 5, you're using contrast to bring it all to life. Each layer was important, each one built on the last. Together, they create a full picture, a human connection that's calm, deep, emotional, and unforgettable. This is relationship mastery, not just knowing how to speak, but how to feel. Not just controlling emotions, but guiding them. Not just being liked, but being remembered. Let me leave you with this final example. Emma had been in relationships before, nice ones, safe ones, but with Daniel, something was different. He listened when she needed stillness. He teased her when she got too serious. He gave her space, then pulled her back with a smile. She never quite knew what came next, but it always felt right. That's what made her fall. That's what made her stay. And that's the power you now hold. You don't need to speak louder. You just need to speak better, with intention, with presence, with heart. And now, you know how. You're not just learning psychology. You're mastering emotional connection. You're becoming the calm, the depth, the mystery, and the spark. You are now a master of relationship.